Now, India-Maldives relationship has seen its ups and downs ever since Mohammed Muizzu came to power last year. His commentary around India has been strident and some would even say extremely negative. Of course, that resulted in a direct pro-China slant, but since then a lot has happened. Some would even say that his government is unraveling. There's been allegations, or he has made allegations of a financial coup where essentially the finances of Maldives have been completely gone haywire. In fact, its foreign exchange reserves have been down to its bare minimum, and in the wake of that, 2 of his ministers have also resigned. Now, what does this mean? Well, he's headed to India very soon, but does it mean a thaw in relationship? Does it mean that he's now going to come back to a centrist policy that nations like Maldives need to adopt, not sway too much towards China, because it also leads to massive funds and loans that also need to be paid up at some point of time. To discuss the larger India-Maldives relationship, the impact some of these recent developments are likely to have, and what could be the #1 agenda item for Mohammed Muizzu's trip is our big discussion. Okay, Ambassador Rajiv Bhatia will be joining me along with Anas Abdul Sattar. In fact, Mr. Sattar, let me start with you, sir. Former Minister of State for Finance with the government of Maldives. How do you read the developments that have been unfolding in Maldives the last 2 weeks or so, a fortnight? Some would say the finances have absolutely unraveled, and in the wake of that, Mohammed Muizzu is now headed to Delhi.
Yeah, well, we've seen the history of the current president, Dr. Muizzu. He has a record of backtracking on most of his policies, on most of his stances against some countries, neighboring countries. The most important country would be India. We have seen him using somewhat, I would say, aggressive tone against India right after his visit to China, and that there cannot be any bullying, because even if we are small, I mean the Maldives, but right now the financial status of the country is in a very dire status.
China is not helping when finances are bad, does it? It only provides loans at high interest rates.
Yeah, of course. Now, I think the president has realized how important the India is to the Maldives. It always has been important to the Maldives. It is a matter of a historical fact, and we cannot go beyond it. So I think
what about the voices of discord within his government? 2 of his ministers have resigned in the wake of these developments, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they are in a disarray, sort of. We've seen 2 of those deputy ministers resigning yesterday, I think. And last night, we have seen one of his MPs calling against India that the unexplained deaths that are occurring in our country is a result of the Covishield vaccines provided by the Indian government during the COVID. So I don't think the President Muizzu has a grip on his government officials and some of the parliament members in his party to be in line with his foreign policy. That is as a result of his anti-rhetoric, anti-Semitic rhetoric they have been using during the presidential campaign, as well as the parliamentary campaign.
Mr. Sattar, stay with us. I want to get in Ambassador Bhatia also on this, which is the latest as far as the trip that is lined up for next week, the impact it is said to have on relationship between India and Maldives in the backdrop of a financial scare that Maldives is looking at, where China isn't helping. Ambassador Bhatia.
Yes, thank you very much for having me here. I think the discussion so far has been very interesting. I want to contribute by highlighting that the positive change that is happening in Maldives external relations now is obviously the result of two or three factors. Fundamentally, as I see it, geography is asserting itself, and history of close relations between India and Maldives is helping in that process. Back in January, when President Muizzu went to China, there was this broad perception that there was a tilt by Maldives towards China. But since then, two major things happened. One, India extended a strategic patience, showed strategic patience towards Maldives. And secondly, very clearly, China has failed to deliver on the assurances and the commitments given to the president. And finally, I think what is important is that now Mr. Muizzu is functioning as the president of Maldives. That means he has realized that having good relations with India and possibly other countries as well is much better than Maldives aligning itself only with one single power, namely China. So I think you are absolutely right in underlining the fact that the forthcoming visit to India of the President of Maldives could be a turning point, and it will build further on a very fruitful discussions that Foreign Minister Jaishankar had in Maldives last month,
Right.
and the very successful defense cooperation meeting last week.
Right. Mr. Sattar, then let me ask you this. In your opinion, what should be that number one demand or expectation that Mohammed Muizzu will have when he comes to visit India?
Well, the financial status should be the main thing. Today, Moody's has downgraded the status of the Maldives again. That comes within weeks after the Fitch ratings have downgraded the Maldives. So the agenda, the first priority of President Muizzu should be gaining assistance, financial assistance from the Indian government. And in addition to that, he should assure the Prime Minister of India and the people of India that there would be no anti-Semitic rhetoric towards the Indian government and its people.
Right.
It's a huge ally to the Maldives.
Absolutely. Ambassador Bhatia, quickly, sir, what would be India's expectation when it extends? I'm sure it will extend a financial lifeline to Maldives at rates that are concessional and beneficial to them and benevolent, to say the least. But what should be New Delhi's expectation?
Yeah, very briefly, I think India will very clearly convey to my mind that Maldives is very important to India. It is an important neighbor. And in that context, there would be an attempt for further intensification of the strategic partnership that binds India and Maldives. And this is not a partnership between the two governments. It is a partnership between two peoples. And
Yes.
therefore, I think if Maldives is receptive, a message can go out from Delhi that more Indians should visit Maldives for tourism purposes, and more Maldives people should come for all kinds of purposes, health,
Absolutely.
training, skill development, etc. Thank you.
Absolutely. That strident commentary from Mohammed Muizzu has impacted the people-to-people exchange and tie-ups between the two countries. Thank you so much, Ambassador Bhatia and Anas Abdul Sattar, for joining me on this edition of India Global. The fact is that India should and probably will extend a line of credit to Maldives at concessional rates because it wants the economy and the country to revive. At the same time, the expectation should be that Mole and Muizzu cannot continue to lean towards China in good times and come back and expect India to help them in their bad times.